Oh my God, guys, another short report on a small cap Canadian stock. And I told you guys this would happen ever since XRO. We would see quite a few more of these coming out, and that's why I'm not surprised at all, because these short report firms, these short research firms are playing on investor fears right now. And in the current market environment and being in kind of a slight downtrend here, it's no surprise that we're seeing more of these, especially we see CMC consolidating nicely here. And that's probably part of the reason, trying to push down the price. Now, it's interesting because the research firm that did this short report on CMC, that's Cielo Solutions, and we're going to go through that a little bit today, also did a short report on MVMD, that's Mountain Valley MD Holdings. And you guys know I'm extremely bullish on MVMD, but their price is just being pushed down hard because of this short report and just shorting in general on the stock, in my opinion. Now, again, I think there's a lot of things that are unfounded in kind of this short report on Cielo Solutions as well, just as the one in MVMD. Now, I do think that there are kind of a few more claims in this CMC short report that are actually slightly more founded than the ones that we saw from MVMD, which I thought was a completely unfounded and distorted report. But here there are still quite a few of those, and I want to go through them today, but I also want to go through what I'm actually doing, because we saw Mountain Valley MD's price just absolutely tank right after the short report. Now, it took a little while to get there. We started off coming down and back up, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing in CMC here now too. And I do think that we're going to see some more downward pressure and the price come down a bit more. And that's why I actually did sell about 30 or 35% of my holdings in Cielo Solutions, not because I do not believe in the company. I still very much believe in them, but I do think we're going to see some more pressure on the downward side, and we may see the price come down quite a bit more from here. And that's why I just thought I could make a little bit of extra money, buy a couple more shares. So yes, I did sell some just to buy back in at a lower price. And I understand there's issues with that, because that's the reason why a lot of these short reports end up working, because us as investors, we see the short report. Often we know that it's not founded information, and yet we still decide to sell because we know that other people will see it as true information, and that's going to push down the price anyways. So, there's kind of this scenario where, what do? You believe in the stock, but you know it's going to go down, so you have to sell, right? And that's kind of the problem with these short reports, is even a lot of people who realize that the short report is unfounded and doesn't make sense, we're still going to see the price come down, and that's kind of the issue there, right? So yes, I did sell some. I did not sell all my holdings, but when the price comes down a little bit more, which I do definitely expect it to, I will be buying back in heavily. All the money that I now have in cash that came from Cielo Solutions will be going back into Cielo Solutions once the price comes down. That being said, we've actually been holding up quite well here. If we take a look at the share price, we came down. I actually set a limit yesterday at the 0.79. And that actually executed earlier today. If we go to the 1 minute here, we can see we kind of came up to that point, to that 0.79 level just barely, and it did actually execute my trade. And then since then, we've just been coming down the rest of the day. So, keep in mind, we are still consolidating here nicely, but still with this short report, just because of what happened with MVMD, I am expecting us to go quite a little bit lower than we are at now. But who knows? It could be a different scenario than it was in the past. So anyways, let's go into the report a little bit here. There are just a few things I wanted to mention to you guys. So moving here on to the first sort of aspect, where they say that RUEI is struggling to fund some of their expenses. That's why they did a $1.5 million capital raise. And now how will they pay for all of these JVs that Cielo is looking to build here with them, all these JV facilities, when they can't even finance enough or raise enough capital in order for these basic expenses, right? Because $1.5 million is not nearly enough to even for one facility. Now, here's the thing about all of this, is it's kind of just construed information, because yes, they did a $1.5 million capital raise, and yes, the money's kind of going to their general expenses, but that's not how they are planning to raise capital or to get capital in order to build these JV facilities. They are in fact looking to use debt in order to finance these facilities. We can see that right here in the kind of PowerPoint presentation by RUEI that was linked by Night Market Research themselves, and it says right here in one of these slides that the majority of the capex is to be funded with debt, so not with financing, not with equity raises or anything like that. So that whole point kind of is completely debunked here, because they're clearly looking to kind of raise money in order for these JV facilities with debt, not with equity financing. And so that whole point is, it literally doesn't make any sense here. And they've given us that information if we click on what they've sent us themselves. Now, yes, they only have about 300K in cash right now, but clearly that's not an issue, because as we know as well, Cielo did receive $750,000 in JV fees, and Cielo has received all those JV fees, so that money has been paid. So sure, maybe they do only have 300K on their balance sheet, but I don't even think that they do only have that amount, because they've clearly paid for all these as of March 9th, 2021. So again, this really shouldn't be an issue, the fact that they don't have that much cash, because again, they're looking to firstly use debt in order to build those facilities, right? And they are paying Cielo for their JV fees and etc. So I do think they're going to be moving forward with a lot of these JV facilities as well. And this kind of aspect of not having enough cash on hand is again unfounded and doesn't really make much sense there. Moving on from that, yes, in 2018 they did announce their first JV here. Not much has come from that, I agree, and I think they could do a better job kind of moving forward with a lot of these things that they haven't been doing. But they had to work on desulfurization, they had to work on a few other things, and we're going to get to desulfurization here in a bit, because again, it is in this report, and they say how they haven't achieved that yet, and is that kind of just to delay their other processes, their other facilities, because they can't get to that level, and we're going to go through why that's incorrect as well in a bit here. But again, they are still moving forward with these, right? And we know that they're kind of on track to start building, to start breaking ground, right? If you go back to some of my other videos and look at the kind of investor presentation that I go through and stuff, they are looking to build out some of these JV facilities soon. They have kind of purchased the land at some of these already and are again starting to break ground, right, in these facilities to start building them. So I don't think there's kind of an issue there. I also again don't think there's an issue with financing these facilities, because they have been moving forward here with kind of production of these facilities already. So yes, the timeline here is a little bit off, I agree, but I do still think that they're doing what they say they are doing there. Again, here it just kind of goes through a little bit of that stock promotion that was going on by BNN, etc., where, you know, before that, that's kind of when I first started talking about the stock, when we were at that kind of 0.3 level-ish, and then we had that BNN report, we had, you know, a couple other bullish things, a couple people, or a couple big investors kind of saying some bullish things on Cielo, and that did push us up very high on the price to that kind of, you know, $1-ish level. And they kind of go into how McWhirter's estimates here of an $8 price target are unfounded, but again, that's all just kind of speculation, right? On both sides, we have the bears here on one side saying, well, no, none of these numbers make sense, and on the bull side, they do make sense, and it's really up to interpretation, right? Everyone has their own price targets, everyone has their own way of getting to those price targets, and there's no really set method or set way of doing things, and there are speculation in those numbers naturally, because otherwise, you know, if everything was transparent 100%, then you would never be able to find an arbitrage opportunity to make some money. So, you know, basically throughout this point, they are just saying McWhirter's numbers are wrong, but they could just as easily be right. So again, you know, this is just kind of their opinion here. It really is what it comes down to. Again, the investor backing aspect of it, they are looking for that debt, not, you know, and in a way that is investors, but these investors aren't looking to get equity out of it. They're looking to get that their loans repaid, right, from the debt that they are offering, or the capital they are offering, which now becomes debt for Cielo, or debt for RUEI in this case, right? And here again, this is where they go through kind of the faulty assumptions of a McWhorter, and again, it's up to opinion here whether these numbers are false, whether they're correct, whether they should be higher, whether they should be lower. Now, this part I can't really comment on because basically here they're saying that they're far from their production targets. They've only gotten 5 or 6 days of 500 liters per hour, where they want a continuous 30 days of 500 liters per hour in order to kind of start more building out these JVs. And again, I don't know any of these numbers. There isn't much information online of what they have achieved so far. Where is that proof that that's what the RUEI CEO said here? Because, you know, they give us proof, oh, this is what Alan claimed here, right? We can click open link and we can take a look at kind of what he says, but where is the stuff that that Jackson here, the RUEI CEO, said, you know, to them, that he's only seen 5 or 6 days? Where is any of that information? They give us proof of the things that Cielo has said, but where is the proof of the things that they're claiming that other people have said? It doesn't exist here, and that makes me skeptical again of night market research in general, and I already am, because they don't give us a name of who they are. They don't give us kind of information of where they're located. They don't give us information about anything really about them. Cielo gives us information about everything, and they give us information about who they are, who the CEO is, etc. And so that just makes me skeptical in general, because why is there no one standing up for the claims that night market research is making here, right? And so I don't know, seems a little bit skeptical to me there. But anyways, that is something that they say, and it could be true, it could not be true. I really don't know, to be honest, guys. So that's that. Conflict of interest, sure, can definitely be an issue here. There are a lot of ways you can get around conflict of interest, especially if it's kind of in the interest of both parties. If everyone consents to the conflict of interest as well, then a conflict of interest usually is of no worries at all. And so, you know, they make it seem like, oh, this is a huge conflict of interest that kind of really hurts shareholders, but in a way that kind of is not accurate at all. And you know, they could just be using their kind of connections in that case in order to help further along Cielo as a company and Renewable U Energy Inc., right? This part, yeah, pretty accurate, I gotta say, from Night Market Research. They did get the $1.5 million of renewable diesel, this third-party company, but also to kind of de-risk that whole transaction, this third party did get kind of warrants which are exercisable from Cielo. So yes, this is accurate, and you know, there's not really much else to say about that. Again, it's up to fully opinion on whether you think that this is kind of a bad thing or not, right? If anybody does have more information about some of the things that I don't really understand as well, I would love to, you know, for you guys to leave a comment and kind of share what your thoughts are on that. And then desulfurization here. Now here, this is kind of important to go through, because they do say, or they kind of make the claim here that desulfurization is an easy process, and that Cielo could have easily just used one of these other technologies that already exist for desulfurization in their process. Now, they say that they resolved the desulfurization issue, and they have, according to, you know, some of the news out there, according to Cielo's news, they have solved this desulfurization issue, and they've gotten down to 5 parts per million, where they only need up to 15 down to 15 parts per million in that fuel, right, of sulfur. That's the max they can have. So they've gone much below that, and maybe they were just looking for kind of a better technology for desulfurization, a quicker technology for desulfurization, something that works better with this biodiesel that Cielo is producing here, something that works better with their facilities perhaps as well. And we don't really know the backstory. I'm in no way, shape, or form someone that knows anything really about biodiesel or how it's made or how it's desulfurized. So, again, I just don't really know, but they have solved this issue. So that's a big thing, and they will be able to implement that into their facilities now. And so this issue is essentially resolved now, whether they were doing it to kind of slow down the process, to kind of have more time for these JVs. I don't really think so. It kind of seems like a long shot to me to say that. And, the point is that they have kind of proven this now, and now they just need to scale that up again. The other thing they do mention is that, Cielo doesn't have any offtake agreements, doesn't have any commercial counterparties, doesn't have any licensing agreements yet. And yes, that's true, but I think that's just because they're too young of a company still. They just have their one test facility in Aldersyde, right? They don't have their full kind of range of facilities out there yet. They don't have enough of the process fully proven yet to kind of come together with some licensing agreements. They need an actual facility going with the desulfurization process in order to kind of start selling this biodiesel, which they aren't at that stage yet, but they probably will be within the next year once they have another facility going, or once they've kind of built that out and their Aldersyde facility is working at a higher liters per hour than it is currently. I think then we're going to start seeing some partnerships, some licensing agreements coming in there. And that's pretty much the end of the report there. Again, it's classic night market research stuff. They just kind of throw some things out there, see where the price goes, and hopefully, have a successful short there, especially in this market where we have high investor fears. We're on a bit of a downtrend, etc. Right? So it's easy to kind of get people to sell right now. And that's, again, what they're doing with this report here. Again, though, not fully unfounded here. I think there are some things that Cielo could work on here, and I think they should do a better job as well, kind of addressing these issues moving forward. And I think they should come out with kind of a report going through all these issues and kind of mentioning why they're incorrect, and they haven't done that yet, and so we'll see what we see there. But that's going to do it for the video today, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment as always. As I said already, yes, I did sell some of my holdings here in CMC, and we'll just have to see where we go. So enjoy the rest of the day, and I will see you guys on Thursday.